Широкогоров also introduced in the ethnology and etnosociology the concept of social organization of ethnos. That Широкогоров defines as social organization of the society a set of ethnographic elements that regulate the functioning of society as permanent conglomerate of people, forming in turn a set of specific internal balance, enabling the ethnic unity or ethnos to reproduce, to conserve the economic system, material culture, intellectual and mental activity, that is to ensure the continuity of ethnic identity in its integrity. So that is important that in this definition of social organization of ethnos or ethno-social organization, these functions are orientated to one goal, to keep the social identity of ethnic group permanent, to keep it always equal to itself, to conserve this ethnical identity through sets of specific procedures and mental activity and material culture and economic system, all that play an important part in accomplishing this very goal, to keep the ethnos as it is, as it was, and as it should be in the future. So the ethnosocial organization is defined by very important concept: to keep the same without any changes. Also, we are dealing with zero-sum game. So zero-sum game in this sense represents very important idea of the very profound reason of social ethnosocial organization. This reason is to keep the same, always the same, all activity, all changes, all efforts in the society, and cultural, economical, and material activity is organized, are organized in the sense to keep the same. So to keep the same, social organization as reproduction, the sense of the social ethnosocial organization is the reproduction of the same. It is very important because this ethnosociological organization oriented to eternal reproduction tries to avoid two things. First, decadence, a kind of danger to lose something. So one of the problem of functioning of this social organization is to conserve the practices, to conserve the rituals, to conserve the social structure as it is, as it was, and as it should be in the future. To conserve the same. But it is clear that and the reality, we are dealing with entropy of some or different kind, and society could forget something, could lose something. There could be some circumstances that oblige to put aside some rights or some material or spiritual or cultural practices. And in this sense, ethnos is in eternal struggle against this possibility of entropy. So the ethnical life is a life of conservation of the same. And that is not so easy as it could be seen from our sophisticated, complex society, because we cannot understand that the conservation of the same could be the goal. We are habituated to think, to reason in the terms of progress, of development, of the new. But we could not understand what ethnos is if we don't accept these different ethos of some kind. That to conserve is the same is the main concern of the ethnic life. So ethnos lived not only in order to survive, it lives in order to conserve, not to survive biologically, but to conserve the sameness of ethnical structure in all possible senses, in material, economic, rituals, cultural, linguistic, and also material and spiritual. So it is a kind of all-compassed conservation that is main concern of ethnic group. But there is the other goal, the other concern of ethnosocial organization, according to Shirokagorov. It is also very difficult to us to understand the second part of this organization is directed against the new, against apparition of the new, against accumulation of the goods, against any kind of acquisition that is not necessary or not habitual, not something new. So what that has not the place and the context of ethnosociological organization today, or that had not in the past, cannot have not the chances to be accepted, to be recognized, to be used, and to be appreciated. So, struggling for conservation of the same, ethnic group or ethnos struggles also against new. It struggles against the loss and against acquisition. Ethnos should not lose anything and should not acquire anything. That is the sense of ethnical life, and that is the end of ethnosocial organization according to Shirokagorov. It's very important because that that is the reason of many functions of rites, of the myths, of the customs in the ethnic group. So the ethnos insists on its immutable identity that could be endangered by the loss and by the acquisition of something new. It's very important, and that is the sense of reproduction, not production, not loss, reproduction of the same. And that is a kind of the nature that reproduces every year the same seasons. But always these very seasons are different in some details. There are different weather and differences in the rhythms and the events of natural also events in such or such season. But the autumn is always the autumn. The summer is always the summer, and so on. But we regard nature as something that makes this eternal return of the season by itself. But not that is the case of the ethnic group, because the ethnos considers this eternal return as a kind of practice where the full participation of the man is badly needed. So without repetition of some rituals, of some sacred ceremonies, the summer will not come. There will not come also the night or day without implication of the man, of the society. And so the difference between nature and culture doesn't exist in the ethnos. And in order to spring to come, the society, ethnic society, should produce some rituals, should think or should wait for the spring. Without this expectation of the spring will not come. So it is very important that to reproduce the same, you need to pay your life, to pay your efforts, your material and spiritual activity, dedicate to this eternal return of the same. So it is a kind of conception of Širokogorov. So there was a kind of formula proposed by Širokogorov as a kind of law of balance of cultures. This concept of Širokogorov insists that the number of the people in one ethnic group, if we divide it on the cultural level and on the land area occupied by this group, is a constant. So, in order to live on the same territory for greater number of the representatives of the same ethnic group, it needs to develop its level of culture or to expand the territory. That is very practical and studying of ethnic group, and that could be also regarded as a possible possible reason of development of the new, something new. If there is exaggeration, acquisition of the quantity of the population, that signifies that ethnic balance is hurt, badly hurt. And to improve that, ethnos should also make acquisition of something in correspondence, or of the territory, or of the level of culture. That is a kind of ethnic law, according to Shirokogorov. And that is known as equilibrium theory of cultures, or based on ethnic balance factors. So Shirokogorov pays great attention to the concept of environment. Environment for him are divided. Ethnic environment is divided on two parts: natural and social. So natural environment is a kind of territory where the ethnos lives, and is considered to be the part of ethnic life. So this physical or natural environment is considered by ethnos as a part of the society. There is no clear border between ethnos itself and nature. The nature environment is included in the ethnical concept, as well as ethnos is projected on the environment. So it is ethnical environment, and there is also a natural correspondences in the structure and composition and function of the ethnos itself. But there is the other kind of environment that Shirokogorov calls ethnic environment or social environment. That is something else, that inclusion of the nature of the physical environment in the context, in the texture of ethnos. It is a kind of challenge to the ethnos represented by the other ethnos. So you could meet ethnos is dealing with two things that it could meet theoretically around it. Or it is included nature, or it is the other ethnos. Other ethnos represent a kind of challenge to these ethnos, and is considered as something other in all the senses. It is something that is excluded. So it is very important that natural environment is included in the ethnic structure, and other ethnos is excluded. So we are dealing with two different kinds of environment. But the border between one ethnos and the other is not also absolutely exclusivist. It could be passed or by individual representatives or some families that should be adopted in this ethnos, or it could be regarded as some object that has its legitimate presence in the cultural complex of this very ethnos, but that is alienated by some one or other reason.